got the Winnipeg Jets, President's Trophy winners, against the St. Louis Blues, the hottest team in the NHL since March 15th. Winnipeg coming in at minus 180 to win the series. St. Louis at plus 155 as the underdogs. Winnipeg won the season series 3 games to 1. Three of those games came down to the wire. One goal games, and one of them with an empty net. So, pretty close season series here. I don't think it's any secret there's two teams in this postseason where you kind of think, yeah, they should and they could, but and it's probably the Leafs and the Jets because we've seen this story time and time again. Winnipeg has lost in the first round the past 2 seasons in a row. They lost last year shockingly in 5 to Colorado, and the season before that also in 5 games to Vegas. But things are different now. They're a wagon. Their goalie just had one of the best seasons in goaltending history, and they're probably what I would say is like the team who really needs to exercise the demons this year. There's gonna be a lot of different changes. So what do you guys think heading into this series, just as a vibe check?
Yeah, I think you nailed it with the Hellebuck thing. I think the other thing that really stands out for me about this Winnipeg team is that Connor Scheifele and Perfetti all had career high points years. And I feel like that's kind of flying under the Hellebuck radar right now, just because that's what everyone's going to focus on. But huge years for those guys. This Jets team is good. We have seen them, what, Mac, twice this year play against the Caps, and
Yep.
they handled them both times, right? Or
Um,
was it a split?
I believe we lost both, but
Okay.
we held our own at least in the second game. I don't remember the first one.
This team is big, heavy, fast. They are just so frustrating. I remember Mac and I texting about the second time these two teams played. And Mac, I think your comment was it's like there's no time. It's like the second you get the puck, they are in your face. And it kind
Yeah,
of reminds me the way the Finnish World Junior team plays, where it's like in the neutral zone, they're just going to swarm you. You're going to have
yeah,
nowhere to go. One's going to hit you, the other one's going to take the puck off you, and then they're going the other way with Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Cole Perfetti. So, I mean,
yeah.
what do you do to slow that down?
They definitely suffocate you pretty good. I think what stands out to me about Winnipeg is they're such a like positionally sound team. Like if you watch them, they just play their positions so well. Everybody knows where they're supposed to be on the ice, and that's kind of how they end up taking away all that time and space from good hockey teams that they play against. It's just playing good, sound positional hockey. And it's not the kind of team that you can really come back against. I think I want to say there was a stat when we were playing the Jets most recently, which was only a couple weeks ago. At, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it was that when leading after 2 periods this year, the Jets are like, I don't know, it was like 30-0-1 or some shit like that. Like they've lost like one time when they're holding a lead after 2 periods. So it's gonna be about the Blues being able to strike first and about the Blues being able to not get buried by 2 and 3 goal leads in games.
Do you guys see the President's Trophy curse rearing its head here for another year?
Well, let me say this. This is a perfect storm if you're St. Louis because Winnipeg has the history to blow these expectations and they, lose in the first round. And St. Louis is hotter than any team in the NHL right now. And I just got a feeling that Monty's going to have those boys ready. I don't think this is going to be a five game series like some people might be saying. Um, the other cool storyline here, we're getting a Four Nations gold medal game rematch, Bennington versus
Yes.
Hellebuck. That's pretty sweet. Um, Bennington has found his way here ever since that tournament. St. Louis broke a franchise record, 12 wins in a row coming down the stretch of the season. Kind of cooled off a little bit in the last week, but Robert Thomas, we got to talk about this guy. He has the second most points in the NHL since March 15th. The only player with more points is going to be the Art Ross winner, Nikita Kucherov. So this guy is hot right now. Um, Dylan Holloway being out for the Blues is tough. He's had a great season, 26 goals on the year. From what I've read, he's week to week with a lower body. We'll see when he comes back, if he comes back. but I think St. Louis can put up a good fight here, fellas. I'm just gonna say that.
I agree. I'm gonna agree with you and go ahead and call this a trap series for Winnipeg, especially with, like you said, how hot St. Louis has been coming in. I know huge difference between regular season and postseason, but they look good. And I think the way that St. Louis is built could give a lot of problems to the Winnipeg Jets. There, you can draw a lot of similarities between these two teams, I think, when it comes to, some of their depth forwards and some of their defensemen and just the way they move the puck. But yeah, I don't know. This is going to be wild, but yeah, Robert Thomas, I think, we were talking about this the other day, is hands down got to be the most underrated player in the NHL right now.
Let's talk about the nails aspect of this series that we alluded to before. I think that obviously both of these teams kind of have a reputation for some chippy shit. Winnipeg more so, they're just sort of like the Caps of the West in that they love the big bodies. They love a physical game. They finish their checks even when it's not playoffs. Guys like Sandberg, Logan Stanley, these big rig defenders. That's the type of guys that they kind of build their lineup around. So look for dudes like that. Um, Morgan Barron, I'm sure, will be mixing it up a little bit. He's another big
Appleton,
body throwing his weight around. Yep, Appleton.
Tanev.
Yeah, Tanev's not afraid to get in the mix as well. So they've got their share. Who do we think is going to answer the bell on the other side of the rink?
Pareko.
Think
Yep,
Pareko could, even though
yep,
they're probably gonna tell him not to,
yep.
just because they need
Shen
him.
Shen is probably not afraid to mix it up a little bit too.
We got
Shen will chuck it.
Battle of
Sunquist can.
Shens, right? Because Luke is now in Winnipeg. So we got
Yeah.
the Shen
Yes,
brothers going
that's
up
right.
against each
That's
other.
right.
Sunquist, former Penguin, physical player. He could chuck him. I think Matthew Joseph could chuck him too. So, we'll see. I agree. This has the potential to be like the big bad body fuck you Western hockey that our buddy Heat Daddy always talks about. These teams feel like they're built the same, you know?
I would love to see this Blues team get hot, continue this run, and somehow run into the Edmonton Oilers, who literally gave away Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway for absolutely fucking nothing, and just to have them shove it up Edmonton's hoop, that would be incredible.
That would be a good one. I also think if you had LA in Winnipeg or something like that, it's a lot of, Velarde, I follow that whole
Right.
thing. That'd be kind of cool. Let me ask you guys this. Obviously, between the two teams, I think we could all agree Kyle Connor is probably the best offensive player in this series. But if you had to choose someone to score the most goals in this series other than Kyle Connor, who would you choose?
Cairo. He led the Blues in goals all season.
That would be my answer too. He's got the fourth longest odds, so plus 700.
This is a tough one because I feel like both of these teams are able to spread the wealth a lot. Like there's
Right.
not they're deep. I see this being a series where a lot of guys get two or three goals.
Yeah.
But if you made me pick one, I'll go with Shifley. I think he'll step up as well.
He would be second behind Connor,
Yeah.
plus 370. I like that though.
Yep.
I
Um,
definitely see one or multiple of these games going to overtime. And if it does go to
Yeah.
overtime, Winnipeg has Nino Niederreiter, and that guy has scored some
Yep.
pretty massive playoff goals in his career. So I wouldn't put it past him to bang in one more.
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw a dark horse out here. I think Buchnevich would be a good pick.
Sure.
I feel like he would be a good pick for most goals in this series, especially if there's a lot of power plays involved. Could definitely see that happening. And based on our penalty predictions, I wouldn't say that's too far off. Any other notes we want to make other than what we've already said before we get to Vegas mini?
Once again, that Jets building is not easy to go into. It's a little bit smaller than every other NHL barn. I think it holds what, like a little over 15,000, but it's always loud. It's always crazy. You got to deal with the whiteout. So, it's not quite the Bell Center, but that's definitely a tough building that St. Louis is going to have to go into.
Last question. Which player has more pressure on them this postseason? Connor Hellebuck, who got torn apart last year by Colorado, or Mitch Marner?
Oh boy.
It's pretty close if you ask me.
I think I'll go with Marner just because the media there is that much more insane than it is in Winnipeg.
Fair.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
I think if yeah, with the media, I'd probably agree, but I do think in terms of like weight on their shoulders, yes, Marner has to perform, but I think most people would agree Matthews is kind of the top dog. It's gonna fall on him the most.
Yeah,
With Winnipeg, like this is Hellebuck. Last year
yeah.
that he got ripped apart, and if he has it happen again, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people coming out of the woodworks on him. So
Personally, I am not worried about Hellbuck this postseason whatsoever. I'm expecting him to have a big bounce back revenge postseason, at least this first round. I think he's going to play excellent.
I think I agree. I think the thing that's crazy about last year is, yeah, he had some bad ones that he should have had, but he got hung out to dry, like I would say a handful of times in that series. So I'm interested to see how the team plays this year in front of him. I think that'll be a huge indicator of what this Jets team is going to do.
for sure.